and he describes how at 1:35 p.m., so a daylight sighting, he saw a V formation or a wedge-shaped formation of white objects in the daytime sky. He quickly ran into the house. At first he thought they were birds, perhaps pelicans or maybe seagulls. He quickly ran into his house, grabbed a pair of high-quality binoculars, zoom-type binoculars, and looked at them. And he describes what they looked like. They were all disc-shaped, and they were in a very precise V-shaped pattern or formation, the way you expect to see Canadian geese during migration, for example. And
yes,
then he saw a second group of similar, identical craft. All told, he saw, I'm scanning the report, at least 20 and maybe twice that number of light-colored, highly reflective, disc-shaped objects in a very tight formation. And the formation was so large that it filled the field of view of his binoculars, I presume at high magnification.
Yes. Wow. Well, there again, it's at least low enough of an observation that he could tell that these were disc-shaped objects. That's amazing. Of course, flying like a traditional V, I would understand, with one in the lead, the rest of them echeloned back. Is that kind of how he was describing it?
That's what I assume is the case. He did not provide an illustration, or has not yet.
Yeah.
But,
oh my gosh. It sounds like something definitely is going on, and obviously, whatever these craft are, they're not trying to be very stealthy, it sounds like.
That's the thing that disturbs me a little, is they're no longer attempting to conceal themselves from humans' observation. This is one of several things that lead me to believe that the nature of ufology has changed from what it was even just a decade ago. The other category, the other type of report I'm getting quite a number of is reports of red, orange, and yellow lights, also in formation. I just received one report. A gentleman asserts that he saw upwards of 50 lights in a formation streak overhead. That's very unusual. Even if they had been, sometimes you can be mistaken by migratory birds at low altitude if you don't know how far away from you they are. And that this was not a case of migratory birds. The objects were maneuvering relative to one another, and the witness got a good enough view on them to be able to say that they were something very unusual. And one last point I'll make, he stipulates that it was very similar to video that he had seen of a group of objects, cluster of objects, seen over St. Petersburg, Russia, I believe on the 13th of September. He had seen that video. So
in other words, this was another recent sighting over Russia that he declared was about the same as what he saw here in the United States.
He had seen the video footage out of Russia, and he likened his sighting to what he had seen in the video. Of course, one thing I should emphasize, these are all single witness reports. You, as a paranormal attorney, emphasizing the attorney in this case, know what one witness is worth. But many of these people I've talked to, and the reason I'm sharing these reports is they're well written, well organized, and I'm left with the impression that they come from highly qualified or certainly highly reliable individuals. That's my impression anyway.
Yes, yeah, of course. And you're right. One witness saying something is goes into the evidentiary theory of what we're trying to talk about here. But then when you get a body of evidence that seems to be pointing in the same direction, that, like you said, that is getting very interesting right now.
Yeah, and it's also worth commenting that, of course, these reports come from different people who I presume are not aware of not only each other, but of each other's reports, as to the best of my knowledge anyway. So you're dealing with a large number of independent witnesses when addressing all the reports that come in for, say, a given time period, perhaps a week or a month or so. So I encourage people who are interested in the UFO phenomenon to go to the website, ufocenter.com, and start reading, because in a short program like this one, short radio program, all I can do is touch on one or two or three of the best reports, but there's nevertheless a lot of good ones that I don't touch on that people can read if they're so interested.
Well, exactly. And, of course, the probative value of multiple sighting reports that are saying pretty much the same thing or very similar things is enormous. And also people can go to the National UFO Reporting Center and find in their own areas some of the recent reports that might have been turned in as well. So I always find that fascinating to go to my own city where I live and see if there's anything that's been reported that I haven't heard about. And invariably, there seems to be things popping up all the time.
Yeah, they are. And I'm led to believe that we have a pretty substantial audience listening to us in Europe. I would like to invite residents in the European arena, if they see a UFO or if they're aware of a UFO event or an article about a sighting, to please submit it using our online report form. And I invite them to, if English is a problem for them, to just submit it in their own language. And I will put a note in the report that if anybody speaks the language that the report is written in, to translate it, send us the English version, and we will include the English translation with the original report in it, the native language of the witness.
Oh, well, that would be fascinating to see some of those reports translated from the original. That would be really interesting. Yeah. Well, Peter, thank you so much for spending full 15 minutes here with us, at least almost 20 minutes now, with the newest sighting reports coming into the National UFO Reporting Center. And now as we head into the fall, different time of season, it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road.
Yeah, it is. It's all, every day is different in my life. Every day is new, and it's pretty exciting work. And the only reason I'm able to do it is because people who see unusual events take the time and trouble to write it down, capture all that information surrounding the sighting, and submit a report using our online report form, or they can do it to MUFON or UFOs Northwest. There are a number of good organizations that are properly staffed that welcome these reports, or to all of the organizations, so that we all have that report on file.
Yes. Wow, that would be the way to go.
Yep.
And thank you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to get a hold of our paranormal reporter, Vince Inunza, before I let you go, just so I don't send you off and cut you off in the process of getting a hold of Vince here. Let me just see. That's him. And Peter, I will say goodbye to you now that I've got Vince on the line. So thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you for the airtime, Michael. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to appear with you, and hope you have a good program tonight. I'll be listening.
Oh, thank you so much. Good night. Well, hello, Vince. Are you there?
Hi, Michael. I am here.
Oh, great. You know, Vince, I'm still learning this process of adding and subtracting people from Skype. So thank you for bearing with me there on this last, add in here. And how are you been doing now?
I am doing amazing tonight, Michael. Just spent this morning doing one of the most weirdest shoots I have ever done for Pacific North Weird.
Oh, no, Vince, you're not talking about the naked aliens, are you?
Michael, I am usually always talking about the naked aliens, and this time I am definitely talking about naked aliens.
Oh, you have got to relay to my listening audience this new video project that you're working on and the recreation that you're doing.
Yeah, okay, so I'll quickly recap the story. 1950, near Mineral, Washington, a man named Samuel Eaton Thompson stumbled upon a flying saucer in the woods populated by a large family of naked vegetarian Christians from the planet Venus.
You can't get much more detailed description than that.
Not at all, no. And the moment I heard this story, I knew it was special, and I knew I had to do something with it. And a couple months of planning, and this morning I arrived at the destination. There was a flying saucer waiting for me, and we had about 13 naked volunteers show up, and we spent 4 hours filming all kinds of tomfoolery. It was great.
Well, and what was the weather like for these naked volunteers?
Very wet, but intermittent. We had drizzle and showers, so the showers allowed us to chill out under the carport, smoke cigarettes. I had the event catered, so we had some very nice quiche and rosemary potatoes. It was wonderful.
Oh my goodness! Well, you are high class there at Pacific North Weird, I know. And tell us how long does it take, or how long did it take today to get the scenes in that you needed?
We were filming for about 4.5 hours. Wound up with 200 gigabytes of footage because we were shooting in 4K. And yeah, wow. I pretty much got everything I needed for this iteration of the story. I still have to schedule a few more film dates where I'm going to be recreating the inside of the flying saucer with a slightly different cast of naked people pressing buttons and pulling levers.
Well, of course, I would imagine you can't use the same aliens, right? They got to have a different crew on the inside.
Different crew. I might reuse a few, but it's kind of like a filmmaking trick to kind of make it look like I had a much bigger crowd than I really did.
Well, of course, yeah. You are very capable of doing that with all the episodes of Pacific North. Tell me, Vince, how long has now the Pacific North Weird, television network, or what you call the, internet network, been in existence, and where are you headed to next in some of these remarkable productions?
Well, next I'm heading to jail.
It's possible. At least you know the paranormal lawyer, and give me a call.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I will answer your first question first. This past August was 4 years since we released our very first video on the Mima Mounds, and you kind of watch that first year of videos compared to now, and you really see a huge progression in the production quality, in the editing. But I'm very fond of those early videos too. They're kind of like old scrapbooks from my younger days.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. And where you might want to mention at this point where people can go to find those. By the way,
yes, they should go to pacificnorthweird.com, and that will link them directly to our YouTube page.